Hey everyone, this is Annie Clark here at Lifelines on Z93, today's best hits. Happy Thursday to everyone, and welcome to our 45th broadcast of Lifelines.
Woohoo!
Yeah, right? Clap, clap, clap. That's our clap. That's our sound effects tonight. So anyways, welcome. I am super excited about our show tonight. We have a special guest here at the studio whom I am about to introduce. And but first, for those of you who may be joining us for the first time tonight, what is Lifelines? What is Lifelines?
Lifelines is a show where you can call in with anything you're struggling with, frustrated with, whatever it may be, and get a little help, get a little relief, and
some perspective, and
exactly.
There's no struggle, goal too big or small to call. And the lines are open for the next hour here at Z93 Today's Best Hits at 231-929-HITS, 231-929-4487. And you can also text us at 70236. 70236, and if you have not texted in before, text Z93 join to 70236. So welcome. Hi, Courtney.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't know if you're able to hear me. I don't have a mic.
We're out of microphones tonight. The topic of our show tonight, which I am super proud and excited to talk about, is the Walk for Wishes here in Northern Michigan. That's going to be on June 22nd, and it is, of course, sponsored by the Make-A-Wish Michigan. Do we call it a foundation? Foundation. That's what we call it. And during the show, we have my special guest that I'm going to introduce. And again, the lines are open. You can call in. We are hoping for some of the alum, the Wish Kids alum to call in tonight. And so I want to introduce Clary Walker.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Clary and I are becoming good friends real fast.
Good friends moving to great, definitely.
Moving to great, I love it. So I want to, if you're willing, for you to just start out and tell us a little bit about yourself and Make-A-Wish and in your own words.
Yeah, my name's Clary Walker. I am a Traverse City local and native, 21 years old. I went to high school here in Traverse City at TC Christian High School, and my role has been with Make-A-Wish, sharing about my wish story, and I had the great opportunity of experiencing a wish back in 2015.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who are not familiar with Make-A-Wish, Make-A-Wish began in 1984 when it granted its first wish to 11-year-old Joshua from, can you help me? Tecumseh?
Yeah, that sounds close.
Tecumseh, who wished to visit Walt Disney World Resort. 15 wishes were granted that first year in 1984. And here we are today, right? And before we get into our interview, let's call it, with Clary, Michelle Crum, who is Northern Michigan's development officer, and she's here locally, and she's actually a personal friend of mine, which is part of why I'm here tonight. She would like to personally invite everyone in our community and surrounding community to join us in helping make wishes come true for critically ill children in Michigan. She also wants me to put out there tonight that she's hoping that Wish alumni may be listening, and she is very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Passionate
To try to, I'll let you speak to that, Clary, to try to get more of the alum together.
Yeah, Michelle's big focus with this walk is for all of the families who've been impacted by Make-A-Wish and have had a child go through it, and maybe with us and maybe not, but to connect us all together. We're not alone up here, and so her goal is that, you come out to this walk, you don't even have to walk. It's 1.5 miles, it's not strenuous, but for Wish families to come together and know that we're not alone up here in the Traverse City and Northern Michigan area, and that, just because we've all had our wishes doesn't mean that the family aspect of Make-A-Wish has to end. So continuing that on is really the goal of connecting us all together.
Thank you. And she, anyone who is on Annie Clark page, or you can go to Annie Clark page, whether you get my professional page or my personal page, Michelle's email for the alum out there, or anyone who's inquiring, is M as in Michael, KRUMM, at michigan.wish.org. Again, it's MKRUMM at michigan.wish.org. And we have 4 weeks, and she would love for anyone in the alum to reach out to her so she can connect.
Absolutely.
Right? And so on that note, I'm just looking at my notes here. Again, the phone lines are open for anyone who knows Clary, knows he's going to be on tonight, is an alum, is curious, wants information. Our lines are open at 231-929-HITS, 231-929-4487 at Z93 Today's Best Hits. I just want to make sure, because let's see, Michelle would like to personally invite everyone to join her to make wishes come true. And we have 166 walkers, and the goal is 486 because why, Clary?
The goal is 486 because this year Make-A-Wish is going to fulfill, that is the goal, is to fulfill 486 Wish kids all across Michigan and make their wishes come through this year, which comes out to roughly about 9 wishes a week. And you can follow them at Make-A-Wish Michigan on Instagram and Facebook, and they post all the wishes that are happening, so you can see where kids are going each week. And I think this week we have a couple kids going to Disney World and some kids going on some other trips, so it's a great way to see the wishes happening in our communities, and you can keep up on where all these children are going.
Thanks. Thank you. So the goal is to have 486, which would be 1 walker per wish for June 22nd. And again, on Annie Clark page, both my personal and professional, you can get info that can connect you right into how to register, how to reach Michelle, and if somebody wants to take me out to dinner, you can send me a message. That would be good too.
Well, we're planning to be there too, right, Annie?
Yes. Yep. We will have a booth. Thanks to Make-A-Wish, we will be there with Z93, Lifelines, and our training program called The Practice, which we'll talk about later. Are you ready to tell us a bit about not a bit, are you ready to tell us your story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I love this. All right, carry on, my friend.
Fire away.
Fire away.
So my wish begins in August of 2013, sophomore in high school. I was getting ready to go out for soccer. Super excited, since not being my freshman year anymore. I was like, I'm going to play more than playing on the bench. So I figured that was definitely something to look forward to. And as I began training, I just felt off. I didn't feel very well. I couldn't understand why. My stomach was getting bigger. I thought maybe I was putting on weight in the wrong place, which was confusing because I've never really put on weight. I've been 100 pounds soaking wet. And as training began to get, I just began feeling weaker and weaker, and eventually feeling really, really sick and expressing it to my parents and saying, man, I'm not feeling well at all. So we took a trip to urgent care to check out some things. I was born with half a heart, so that was something that my family has walked through already from birth, and thinking, okay, he is at the age of 16. That is when children with hypoplastic left heart syndrome receive a new heart. Maybe his heart is finally it's reached its limit. So we ran tests for 2 weeks at urgent care trying to figure things out, and all this time I'm getting worse and worse, sicker and sicker, needing more air to breathe and just to function normally. And I wasn't even functioning normally. I'd moan and kind of lay in my living room. And I am a little bit of a dramatic person, but this was definitely pushing the limit with my siblings and everyone. And we're like, all right, something is seriously wrong. And so after those 2 weeks, I went into urgent care not doing well at all and pretty much holding on to a thread. They decided to airlift me through a plane all the way down to Mott Children's Hospital in Ann Arbor. And within 6 hours of arriving and them beginning to do tests, I was going into my first biopsy and being told that you have cancer. And that was something that I was in a drug state for sure because they're running all these tests early in the morning. It felt like a bad dream. And I remember those words just hanging there that you have cancer. And I didn't really know how to react at the time. And they're like, we're prepping you to go into a biopsy to figure out what it's going to be. And I remember my mom breaking down and it kind of all starting to happen but not seem real. And so then I spent the next 27 days in the hospital after being told that. They spent the first 2 weeks draining 1.5 gallons of fluid out of my lungs. I got there within 6 hours of having cardiac arrest due to my lungs filling up with fluid. And they began trying to miraculously save my life. And that was the first 2 weeks of just trying to get my body stable enough to now experience chemotherapy to get rid of my cancer. And that was really, really, you almost pinched yourself. You're like, this can't be happening. There's no way. You're 16 years old. You think the world is on your side and you're on top and you're going to go out and be a star. And next thing you know, you're being told that you have cancer, life-threatening, and you're like, this is not how I planned it out at all. I was going to go to college and all these things. And I remember just really, really being scared and really, really being confused on why me. Especially with having the heart condition, I kind of figured I paid my dues up front of my medical problems for my life. Like, this is over. And so the next 4 months began this 2 weeks of treatment, going home for 2 weeks to allow my body to recover, and then 2 weeks again. And that first month was really, really hard because, I mean, what are you going to look forward to? All of your friends are at school, all you can experience is online, and you're just trying not to die, and you don't even know how not to do that. You're just a pincushion, I would say. And then, Make-A-Wish was, I think, a huge saver. Yes, the wish aspect, but the ability to dream and bring hope into the hospital room. It directs all of the downtime you have living in a place. 24 hours, you don't sleep through the night because they're waking you up, in my case, every 2 hours to take pulses, blood oxygen, see if your heart's doing well, and all of that, and then moving eventually to 4. And Make-A-Wish came in and said, if you could wish for anything, what could it be?
So did they randomly just come in?
No. So they have a great network of getting into hospitals and letting social workers know what they do. And that when a social worker gets put on a case for an illness for a child, that they can then recommend and bring it to the family and say, you qualify for a wish. Would you like us to begin the process? And that's how we found out about it. My parents were offered a wish when I went through my heart stuff, but didn't use it when I was younger. So I was still eligible at that time. And so she began, I got a Make-A-Wish pamphlet and got to look at it and see all these kids going to Disney World and going on these incredible trips or shopping sprees. And so then I instantly began to be like, well, if I could do one thing in the world, what could it be?
Right.
And that began, the next 4 months, idle time in the hospital, seeing top Make-A-Wish trips. What did kids do, and trying to find videos and stories of kids meeting athletes and going all these places and being able to dream. I think that is the power of the wish. The escape from the hospital room and the at least empowering feeling that I'm going to see this wish out.
I can see it right now in your face and the tone in how it's changed just as you're moving through your story.
Yeah, so it drastically changed the medicine process. I think, it gave you a target to look at every day. It's like, I'm going to get to this wish, no matter how many chemo bags I got to go through, how many spinal taps, I'm getting to my wish. And that's a blessing. And I think the incredible thing is my wish was to meet my favorite soccer player, Cristiano Ronaldo, in Spain. And one of the greatest things is I got to share that memory with my whole family. So Make-A-Wish takes care of all of it. So I have a bigger family. There's 6 of us. Got 3 wonderful siblings, 2 amazing parents. And getting to go and experience that trip together, truly, it was a beautiful ending to such a tough chapter in our lives. And I was very fortunate to be post-chemotherapy, a year in remission by the time my trip happened. Being an international trip, it takes a long time. It can be a year to many years. So, they call me and be like, you still want this wish? You want to wait? Absolutely. I forgot about my wish when I was announced in remission and began going to school. And I remember getting called down to the office thinking, oh no, too many tardies, here comes a detention. And them saying, your parents are on the phone, they got something to tell you. And my mom's like, can you leave in 3 days? Make-A-Wish called. You're going to Madrid.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember being like, oh my goodness. and being like, this is an amazing time. I can get out of all of my tests and papers. And I remember, my school was a great support system throughout all of the treatment. We had so many families come around us, from Make-A-Wish families and people guiding my wish to families in the community who, my siblings weren't at the hospital with me. They're trying to still do school. We're 4 hours away. Being home, they had people taking care of them. And that was such a huge blessing, seeing the community of Traverse City come together. And what gives me so much hope about, this walk coming up and having this event take place here is I know the people who are here. I know the hearts that are here in Traverse City. And I know that when this city moves, things happen. And so that's super exciting for me that, I have a part to share my story, because there was a kid before me who shared his story, and that's how my wish happened. And so, this event to create more wishes and to give back, I think is beautiful. I mean, we got to see what Traverse City did for Princess Monica like 3 years ago.
Right.
It looked like the National Cherry Fest right through downtown, 2,000 people lining the streets, cheering this girl on to be a princess. And that was incredible for me because I got to be her prince. Make-A-Wish said, we need a prince. Would you like to come on and be our prince? And I was like, absolutely. And so that was a very special moment, my journey with Make-A-Wish, being a wish recipient, going on this trip and having this time away, and now giving back to a wish. That was like the full circle. If you would have told me 5 years ago, going through treatment, that, you'd be on the other side of your wish giving back, I would have been like, you're crazy. Like, I'm just trying to get to my wish. And so the wish, while different from Monica from mine, not the same thing, what it does for our family, and when you talk to all of these kids, it's the same thing. I was looking online, Make-A-Wish did a big promotion, and I heard the same line over and over. My room in hospital treatment was dark until Make-A-Wish came in and brought a light with it. And I was like, oh, I really only thought like that was a line I talked about. Mm-hmm. But it was crazy to see it happen to so many other kids. And it's true. And then the wish in itself is the best trip you could ever think of. I mean, Make-A-Wish, you make a wish, and it goes above and beyond what you expected. So I thought I was going to Madrid and just meeting Ronaldo. No, that doesn't happen with Make-A-Wish. You, from the airline being so kind to us, wearing our Make-A-Wish shirts, treating us like first class, to landing in Madrid and having a Spanish-speaking Make-A-Wish correspondent from Make-A-Wish Spain getting to translate and get us to the practice field, to then not only meeting Ronaldo, but meeting the whole soccer team, and then getting to watch practice, and then living in a very nice hotel for a week, 5 minutes away from where they play soccer. It was a dream come true. Like, I was pinching myself the whole time. I never thought I'd be in Spain. And if you ask my soccer team, they never think the kid who rode the bench would be in Spain either, meeting a soccer player. So that was such a great time. I mean, we still laugh about those trips 5 years later. I mean, we sit around, and I think that's what Make-A-Wish does, is it adds a comma to your story of your illness. So instead of saying, I had cancer, period, it's I had cancer, but here's my wish. There's so much more than just that period, and it goes past it. I mean, now when we're like reflecting, when it comes up on the year, and we're like, wow, it's been 6 years in remission. Do you remember when Clint, my younger brother, crashed a moped into our tour guide?
Right.
And so you're instantly, those memories become tied together, and it's such a, I say that the doctors provide such incredible medicine to heal us physically, but Make-A-Wish provides the medicine to heal our souls emotionally, and that's what they're in the business of. I mean, the trauma that we go through, and then to have this wish that, touches the places the chemo couldn't reach from the pain of the treatment, or in the brain surgeries that the surgeons couldn't get out. That wish creates this time where a kid is still a kid, and they got to see a dream come true. And so I'm very honored to share my story here, and I'm grateful for this opportunity, but there are so many other kids out there, not just in Michigan, who have very similar stories of how these wishes we will carry for the rest of our lives.
Somebody hand me some Kleenex.
Yeah. We're going to have
It's
to get on a
incredible.
break.
It's
Yeah, I've been
incredible.
thinking the same thing.
And we ended right in the perfect spot, because we have more to talk about when it comes to support. So we are going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Lifelines and Clary Walker here on Z93, today's best hits.
Yeah, thank you for
I don't
having
just
me.
mean here in the studio. I just mean here, dude.
Clary, does Make-A-Wish do adult wishes too?
They stop at
18.
18. If you get your wish in before 18, no. Like mine, I could have been 22 and went on it. If it was like a longer, like if I was, I'm trying to think what wish it would be. If I wanted to go to China, and let's say the logistics didn't match up, but
Yeah.
everything was done 18, 17, and they're like, you can go when you're 20, you can still go. But
Oh, okay.
they don't do any adult. It's, I believe, 2.5 to 18. So it's specifically children. Now, there are other organizations out there
Right, I would imagine.
that do type of, wishes for adults going through treatment. Usually the hospital has some sort of connection where you can type online.
Sure.
So we were looking for that. Like there's this one group that, they come in and do like a home improvement for families if they need it.
Oh, yeah.
Or raise money to help support medical bills.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're in strictly the childhood business area. Which is just, all of them are such massive networks. This year, Make-A-Wish will have 900 kids who referred to them. They'll get to 486, which is incredible, but
Right.
you still have that rollover every year of, several hundred kids who are on that list because the money's not there to provide it. So,
How's Monica doing? Do you know?
I think she's doing well. I haven't seen her. I only saw her mom at a Make-A-Wish event and we were kind of working. Her hair is back, so she's somewhere in her treatment where I don't think it's as heavy where it's causing the hair loss. So I think she's running in the Bayshore Run.
Bayshore?
Yeah, she's running the Bayshore, which I don't know if I can even run. So she's a trooper, but no, I haven't seen her since the Wish. But her mom, that's just something about trying to connect this network. Her mom came to the La Senorita thing and was like, I didn't even know about this. And me and my mom being third party, we weren't allowed the information of families for privacy settings. But now having Michelle up here, she can have that list to let them know. Because her mom was at La Senorita and was like, I'd love to help. How would I help?
Yeah.
And I always say I would have been in the same position as all of the other families, even my mom, if it wasn't for the Make-A-Wish contact, Ashley, who saw something and said, can you share your story? And it just kind of snowballed that. So that's the goal with the alumni program up here, is for kids like me who want to share their stories or even just want a network of like,
Yes.
childhood illness, what do I do now? And being able to walk that together, kind of what you were saying with, your nephew, of feeling alone and not understanding what you've walked through. Having that system has really been a goal that Make-A-Wish Michigan as a whole been trying to launch, but what Michelle's been really focusing for up here. So,
So incredibly beautiful.
it is. There's a lot of families up here. I think we just had a kid like an hour from here who he was the 10,000 wish.
Wow.
Who he wanted to be a cook. So he went down to Grand Rapids and got to cook in some of the nicest restaurants there, and it was an incredible, and then they highlighted his wish at the Wish Ball.
What you got? We're here.
It's at the Commons, right?
Yeah.
We're
the
here,
Village
Annie.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Annie Clark here with Lifelines at Z93, today's best hits. And I think we just heard that, didn't we? I'll just repeat it. And we have our special guest here on the show tonight, Clary Walker. He's 21 years old, and he is what we call a wish kid, right?
Yeah, Wish Kid, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be a kid forever.
Right? And we are talking about the Walk for Wishes this June 22nd here in Traverse City at the Grand Traverse Commons, and of course presented by the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Northern Michigan. And Clary has shared his story with us in the first part of the show, and we're going to continue on. And before we do, I just want to give a little more information. Again, we currently have 166 walkers, and our goal is 486, because that's how many wishes are currently out there here on the list in Northern Michigan. And Walk for Wishes is on June 22nd. It's a morning full of fun, family, friends, activities, and a celebration for our local Make-A-Wish families. We hope to bring awareness to all that Make-A-Wish Foundation is doing in our northern region. region. We will be asking our community to come together, families, businesses, civic groups, etc., to form a Walk for Wishes team, and asking all professionals in uniform that are all professionals to, if they would consider coming in uniform, so that children that aspire to be, help me with that one.
Yeah.
To support the theme. I
Yeah,
want
exactly. You know, all of these, our firefighters, our police, all of our local people who serve the community to be there to, cheer these children on, because there's a lot of kids who aspire to, serve the community in such a loyal way that these individuals do. So, if you're one of those volunteers and, uniform people, please come out. We'd love to have you out there.
And Michelle was also saying, because also the theme is I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
the
want
theme
to
of
be.
the walk. So
Yes.
will you just, there's different themes, different types of wish themes with Make-A-Wish Foundation, right?
Yes.
And could you name a couple? I don't know if you know them all.
I think there's like 5. It's I wish to have, I wish to give, I wish to be, which is what we're going to be highlighting, I wish to go, and I wish to meet.
There we go.
Those are the 5.
There we go. That's so fantastic. Because it's the first annual, participation is most important and registration is free. The walk is only 1.5 miles, more of a rally line of support for Wish kids and their families. Again, 486 kids, Wish kids waiting for their wish. Wouldn't it be amazing if there were 0? We really want this event to showcase the rest of Michigan and what community and family means in Traverse City. Michelle and I had a conversation this afternoon and how our community plays such a vital role in coming together and supporting and rallying to make these wishes possible, including the network of friends and families and wish coordinators and volunteers and alumni. That's probably just to name a few. Here in our community, volunteers help to coordinate and are key to rally around and make it possible. And we were talking about support. What is the role of a volunteer and how many volunteers do they have? Make-A-Wish volunteers are vital to the mission and assist in a variety of ways, including helping to grant wishes, providing support at our events, and helping in our offices. They work with more than 900 volunteers, including more than 600 wish-granting volunteers who help us share the power of a wish with our Michigan community. That's just beautiful. How many wishes have been granted? Make-A-Wish Michigan has granted more than 9,500 wishes to Michigan kids since 1984, serving families in all 83 counties in Michigan. In 2018, they granted 459 wishes. The goal for 2019 is to grant more than 400 wishes. What is it? 456, I believe. And so when we're looking at volunteers and community, I want to say that Andrea and I have, with our training program, have been networking in our community. We're getting ready to join the chamber. We were at TAR, Traverse Area Association of Realtors, and different, oh my gosh, even the support here at Z93. And I also am a support person for my nephew. And over the last almost 2 years, whether it's been community mental health or DHHS or Social Security Office, or we have the ACE program here for young adults with disabilities. It just has, that's one reason I'm so emotional tonight, because the amount of support. My friend Linda Brick, who I saw at the Chamber Breakfast for Young Professionals, or Women in Business, I think was that one, on today's Thursday, Wednesday, had just left something through Munson with hospice care, and the volunteers that participate in helping and grocery shopping and many things I couldn't even name right now. And Linda was on her way to something else after that. And so the support piece is huge. And one thing that I've experienced with what I'm going to call any situation that's uncomfortable, and we talk about this on Lifelines, and we teach how to not only support yourself when other people around you are uncomfortable, no matter if whatever choices you're making or situation that you're going through, whether it's divorce or it's an illness or it's a life transition or you're trying to lose weight, it really doesn't matter what it is. We all know, we talk about the part of the brain that makes decisions and our programming and all that, but what I really want to focus on is support. And unfortunately, I use the example of at times most everyone's been to a funeral and you don't really know what to say, and the first thing you want to do is make it better, or we got to look on the bright side, or stay positive, or you're going to make it, or they're in a better place. And most of the time, I'm a trauma survivor myself, not because of a physical illness, but most of the time it's too early. And what I mean by that is we all know somebody who passed away is I don't want to say we all know, but that they're in a better place and things are going to get better. But in that moment, that's not where you're at. And when I was going through my time for almost 6 years, I had to stay very isolated because there was only certain people that could support me because it was really uncomfortable for people. And I had to train people how to support me. I had to tell my mother, when I'm breaking down is when you want to tell me the sky's going to be blue. That's the time I need you to not say, look how far you've come. I'm sure you have a few, right, Clary? Mm-hmm. Look how far you've come. This too shall pass. And that actually disconnected me more, because what goes on in someone's brain is, this scares me because you have no idea where I'm at. Because for me, even I look normal. And I mean normal by, I said to my mother one time, if I were in a hospital bed with breathing tubes, you wouldn't be saying those things, some of the things that people assume you're okay, because you look okay. And I'm talking about all kinds of things that we're going through, whether it's divorce, whether it's cancer, whether it's depression. And so we also have many organizations in our community that talk about normalizing mental health. And so one thing we teach in the practice is how to manage yourself, and how to also reach out for support, and how to help people support you to be able to communicate what you need. And you also learn that some people, it's too much for them. And so you learn not to take that so personally, because it's too much for them. They're afraid, they don't know what to do, they can't control the situation. So can you speak to that? Because the support around a person going through something, not everybody's trained, not everybody's a therapist or a specialist or a social worker in the hospital. So could you speak to your experience with support on both sides of the coin?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing being in the patient is for me to understand that not everyone's going to get it, and when they come to me, they're doing the best that they can.
Right.
So that helped a lot with me of, understanding that they're saying what they're saying just to try to relate and help the best that they can. And I had one individual who, I'm all hooked up and not doing well, and I'm like, yeah, this has been crazy. And like, I remember when I was sick in the hospital for a while, I broke my arm. And I looked up and I was like, that is not even close whatsoever, buddy. Like, you don't know what this is like. But I had to kind of step back and be like, that is the same as them speaking my love language and saying, like, I'm here for you.
Right.
And so that helped a ton. But I think the biggest thing that you can do for individuals is, one, ask how you can help.
Yes.
And there is some times where, even asking for help, we don't even know as the patient going through whatever we're going through, how to even verbalize what we need.
Right.
And I think one of the most powerful things for me was one of my best buddies in high school drove down and visited me in the hospital, and even a pastor of mine, and all they did was just sit with me.
Yep.
They were just there in the mess. They were cool if I cried. I remember, my big buddy, I never really expected, he just kind of held my hand and we sat there in quiet. Mm-hmm. And that was all I needed. And there was some times where I would feel really great, with the steroids in me and not in chemo.
Yep.
And having people who just treated me normal.
Right.
And that was huge. I mean, my youth pastor showed me videos. I was laughing actually so hard. I had a tube in my kidney to keep it draining. I was laughing that the tube was moving in my kidney and putting blood in the kidney bag.
No.
The nurse came in and took his phone away and was like, you can't show him this. He's laughing too much. He'll hurt himself. And we were laughing because she did that. We were just dying there. And so those type of little movements of feeling normal within the mess,
right,
I think are huge. And so as a patient, I always just wanted to kind of be treated normal. But I also, at the same time, was totally fine if people just let me cry, let me be angry. I mean, my dad was really good at this, on just sitting there and let me walk through all of the emotions. And so my biggest thing is be there for people, let them know they're there for people, but let them speak first. And the one thing I had learned through the treatment, and when I've had other friends go through serious illness, being a hospital kid, you know other hospital families. If you get that little twinge to text someone, do it. Trust it. Because there was many a times where I was laying there and I got a text message, hey man, I was just thinking of you. I don't know what to say, but
I love that.
I care about you. And that was huge for me. He didn't have to say anything right, but I was like, you know, you being 4 miles away, going through high school, to just take that time. Thought a lot. So I think from the caretaking side, patience. It's a huge aspect to have. And being okay with us not communicating our needs well.
Right.
That's how I would speak to that.
Right. And there's trainings and we teach that. It's not because we specifically teach empathetic listening and how to support someone, but it really is when you want people that care about you, they want everything to be okay. Mm-hmm. And again, they can't fix it. They're afraid. I've had one of my friends who had cancer and it came back 4 times. And this last time around, I looked at her and I said, I'm scared. I want to run, but I'm going to stand right here with you. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to go anywhere. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And I'm just going to be with you. And that was one of my first experiences, but I could do that because I'd been through trauma. Mm-hmm. And so I became very safe for people to, and that's part of our training now. It's, what do you need? I don't know what support looks like for you. It could be, like you said, in 20 minutes, you could be in a spot where you're laughing. Mm-hmm. 5 minutes later, something can hit you. You could be bawling. And the first instinct for people is to say, oh, it's going to be okay. And it's like, and so it is a very challenging job. I empathize, like you found a way to empathize with people don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And again, not everybody is trained. And so I just wanted to speak to that because we all want to help and we all want to support. And questioning, being still, silence is so uncomfortable, but silence is, you don't have to fix it. You don't have to make it better. You don't have to do any of those things. And I had a friend it was a family member whose father passed away. And knowing what I know now, I came in and I said, so-and-so, I don't know what support looks like for you, but I'm here to support you in any way I can. Now, my instinct would have been to help out with arrangements or when his father passed away or to bring whatever. I don't know. I would have had my own idea out of my own reference, right?
Right. And
he said, support to me right now looks like you watching the girls while we're planning all of this. Mm-hmm. I said, done. And so, it's one of those things where I found being supported is the questions, what do you need? And you might not know what you need, but if you do figure out what you need, I'm here and I'll do whatever I can. Because it is very, the person going through something, that's a whole, mm-hmm. like you going through your cancer, but the whole family, a lot of times somebody will be like, how's Clary? How's Clary? How's Clary? How's Clary? How's Clary doing? And your sister or your mother's like, how am I doing?
Yeah.
And so people who support people need support.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. I mean, our community up here and especially in our school and our church really came behind. I mean, my siblings had meals every night. My aunts came and stayed with them, even some close family friends. They were all taken care of. We had people stepping up to drive my sister, who was on a travel soccer team, driving her all over for her games. And so we had so many people play so many vital roles. And I think that's something, the beauty within the tragedy is seeing how many people are actually there supporting you. Because you don't really realize it until all of these people, you might not have spoken to them in a while, and all of a sudden tragedy hits and they show up. And that was actually something that was tough for me on the back end of treatment, was when I was better, all of that support went back to their normal lives. And that hurt me, and I took it very, personally. And my mom was super great with this, and she said, look, just know that whenever you need something, all these people will be coming here ready to fight with you. And so that was huge for me, was to understand that they're not leaving because like, oh, we're done, blah, blah, blah. It's like, he's healthy. Thank goodness we can celebrate the normalcies of life and mm-hmm. really getting back into those what we would, at least for me when I was going through the treatment, what I would say normal, mundane routines
Right.
that bothered me, but now it's like, no, I'm just so grateful I can live through those again.
Well, and you know, the what to expect when we're teaching our course, and people become more self-aware of their relationship with themselves through their self-talk. We're like, okay, you're going to go home now, and here's what to expect. And then they start building up their self-value more, and recognizing that they can have what they want, and get more liberated. Then we go into boundaries. It's like, okay, now you're gonna tell someone that, you know, I've been saying this for this long, and actually I don't want to do yoga and this or that. And then you're going to have to manage your emotion around that. So there's going to be another step. So in all these steps, we talk about what to expect after your next step, right? And so I'm going to assume somebody brought this is out there somewhere, but when you look at it, it's like, and the social workers in the hospital, but like, one, what to expect, people aren't going to know what to do. If there was more support right from the get-go, people aren't going to know what to do. You're going to feel more alone. We got to help you learn how to say what you need, so you're not feeling alone, even though you're surrounded by people that love you, right? And then, like you just said, when it's like, I always say, when there's a funeral and afterward, like everybody leaves and the family goes home, but they're still grieving and they're still processing things. And if there was a transition process where the people that were supporting, if there was a little network where they slowly, instead of like what you're talking about, where they slowly detach, as opposed to, here all these people were helping you for all this time, and then poof, it feels like they're gone. And it's a big shift from what you got not used to, but what was happening for such amount of time, and then they're gone, and it wasn't a personal thing, but it felt personal.
Yeah, and it's a tough balance, because kind of when you're going through it, there is a point where you're like, I am so sick and tired of people asking how I am. Like, even once I was better, I'd have teachers, they'd pull over and they'd be like, how are you doing? I was like, I'm normal, I'm fine. But then later on the same time, it was like, I wanted people to check in and know, like, it's so weird adjusting back to life.
Right.
As a 16-year-old who's now just supposed to be like, yeah, you almost died, now please finish high school.
Right.
So, like, it's that touch and go, I think, even within yourself of, you know, at some points wanting to be like, I can do this and I'm okay, and enough with all the questions on how I'm doing.
Right. And
then also like, okay, I'm not doing well, someone help.
Right. Now, did you find yourself being able to say, I need, you know, if somebody's wanting to talk about how you're doing or whatnot, did you find yourself being able to say, I am so grateful that you're, you know, for you asking, however, I'm in a different spot right now. I mean, did you find over time that you could communicate what you needed after the fact?
I think I never really struggled with asking for what I wanted. Going through my heart things, I was very used to hospitals and doctors and being hands-on with my heart. My parents would say that, you know, in the hospital room I was okay talking to doctors, and even through my cancer I was as much as hands-on as I can be. And so for me, being home, and I'm so blessed with my parents.
Right.
I have a very open relationship with my mom and dad, so, you know, I felt in the hospital I always knew I could talk to them and that they would understand kind of what I'm going through, because we have experienced a lot of loss, but also we're in this together. We're in the trenches in the hospital every day. And I had friends at home who, you know, they were very like, man, if you ever just want to talk or just like let something out, do that. So I was very blessed with a system that allowed me to express myself, but also from, I think, a very young age, my parents making, you know, my emotions a normal thing to express.
I can tell.
Helped me. So I never had to walk that difficulty of being like, I need help. How do I express it? I could go to my mom, I could go to my dad, and I could go to my friends. And it curated so many relationships greater now that me and my buddies, now that we're out of high school, we go through things, and we know that, like, whether it's breakups or whatever, we can take a car out and just cry together as men, and that's super liberating for us.
Right. And I know, I'm like, you're not the example I'm talking about right now. Wait a minute, you're not. But that is again on our show every week, and in our training, it's asking for help.
Yeah.
Even asking for help. I don't care if you're 10, if you're 20, if you're 30, if you're 50. It's one of the hardest things. Even asking someone to help you carry groceries, if that's, and asking for help is
the strongest thing you can do.
Right.
That's what changed
and
it for me.
it's the strongest, right. Asking for help is the strongest thing you can do. And then you have, again, people that want to support you, and that's where that touching piece comes. And the more touching it is a reflection of how you never could see. It took a tragedy for you to see that people cared about you.
Mm-hmm.
And if we could do that without a tragedy, to be able to reach out, to be able to ask for help, to be able to ask for our kid to be picked up from school from our neighbor who we've helped out. We always know how to give, and we always know how to be helpers, but asking for help. And on that same note, it was interesting because you were talking about, you know, people rallied and there was food and your aunts made dinners and people helped with, sometimes it's financial for some people. And then you have the other side, that's the emotional help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those two, the emotional help, as we spoke about, is much, it's a much more fragile piece. It's not, we all can, I don't want to say we all can, but we can all make dinner and pick up kids from school and help in those kinds of ways. But that emotional support, you're very blessed by your upbringing with your family who emotion was normal.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like positive and happy, but sad and afraid and all the angry maybe that you had that going in, because a lot of people don't, and it really isolates them feeling alone.
Oh.
I was one of them.
Yeah, and I was angry. I mean, you don't go through cancer and I don't think not get angry. As happy as I sound now and as joyful, trust me, I was mad. I was really, really mad, and that whole why question. So I am faulty human as well over here and walk that. And so, yeah, the emotional is finding people that you can, you know, confide in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even if you don't know people, if you can reach someone out who you feel a close friend or trusted and saying, I need to get this off my chest. Can you listen?
You gotta let it out.
Yeah.
You gotta let it out.
And I think asking that before you let it out is good, because sometimes the person can't handle what you're about to give, and you could open yourself up to
absolutely
maybe not a great situation, emotional support wise.
Right.
So saying like, this is tough, can you help me?
And on that note, another thing we teach in our course is they're called needs conversations. So I've come very far with that, and it wasn't because I just went to school for it. Through my traumatic experience, I had to learn, because it's the only way I was going to survive and not feel alone. And so even today, I'll say to my husband, honey, would you mind just listening, not solving, just listening? So I set it up. I set myself up to win, and I set the other person up to win.
Mm-hmm.
I say, I need to just spill for maybe 5 minutes, and when I'm done, will you just say, I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm.
And so I set him up to win, because sometimes his go-to is, you gotta take the high road. Or somebody else's might be, you're strong, you're gonna, you know, it's gonna be okay, or that kind of thing, and it's not what I need. So I ask for what I need before I ask if I can even express myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of us, meanwhile, when we want to fix the situation, we see someone we care about struggling, and it's like, I don't need you to fix it. I just need to know you're here with me.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's huge.
Yeah, so that's cool. I'm really grateful that you spoke to that, because it's a huge piece. Support, we can support people, we can volunteer, but there's that emotional piece, which makes all these people that are supporting others and volunteering and fundraising and all these things, you're in awkward situations. It's not just the physical things you're doing or the monetary things you're doing, it's the emotional support.
Yeah, I mean, that, I think it was the theme of my cancer treatment. Our saying through it all was, no one fights alone.
Right.
So my sister printed up bracelets, and that was our thing. You know, you don't have to fight this alone. And so I think that was the theme that we had walking it. And I think for everyone out there to know, even when you do feel alone, you are not alone. I will 100% guarantee that.
Right. I'm so grateful to have you here tonight.
I'm super honored to be here and meet all you guys. This is fun.
Jeez, I'm using that grateful word. And I'm feeling it. Like, you can say it, but can you feel it?
Yeah.
Right? Well, let's go back to, for those of you who may have joined in late.
Hopped in the middle.
Tonight we have Clary Walker, 21 years old. He's a Make-A-Wish kid. And the Make-A-Wish Foundation here in northern Michigan is having a Make-A-Wish, what do we call it? It's a walk for wishes. I keep wanting to say walkathon.
Walkathon.
Right? That's kind of old
it's
school.
a walk for wishes. Come on, we're hip.
I know. That's why we have you here. So Walk for Wishes, it's on June 22nd at the Grand Traverse Commons. And there is, I mean, if you just Googled, I mean, we have on my Facebook page, Annie Clark page, there's information, there's links on there. We have links on the Z93 Today's Best Hits Facebook page. If you just Googled Make-A-Wish Foundation, Northern Michigan, it's
all
the
gonna
first,
come up, yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere. So, do you know if they're still looking for volunteers, or is that a silly question?
I think they're always looking for volunteers.
I think so,
We
too.
just had our committee meeting, and so yeah, volunteers. Our biggest thing is just getting people out there to walk. Like, you don't even have to walk the 1.5, which is super mild. You can just come out and have a great time. It's free. Our thing is just, let's get a lot of people out there, as the goal was earlier. Let's have 486 people to represent all the wishes Make-A-Wish is going to do this year. And so, it's just a great time to come out to a party, to a walk, enjoy, the beautiful scenery of the Village Commons, all for a goal that's way bigger than ourselves. And that affects so many of our lives around us, so many of children. And I mean, it's for the kids. I mean, kids are everything. They're our future. And protecting them and also creating spaces where, they can have these events to, like I said, Make-A-Wish is for the soul, to heal the soul in these kids who are going through incredible things that some people may never have to face in their entire life with these illnesses. To be out there to give a space for these families and these people to have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think anyone could be a part of that.
Absolutely. And Michelle was telling me today, doesn't matter what age,
No.
Families, there's going to be face painting, there's going to be food, there's going to be vendors, there's different booths, so I would imagine.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of booths. You guys are having a booth.
Yep, we'll have a booth.
Z93 is doing a live satellite, I know, which is going to be awesome. You guys out there, Make-A-Wish is going to have alumni tent, so if your family has at all experienced a wish, please come out and say hello to that tent. But yeah, face paint, there's going to be food. It's just going to be a really good time. We're crossing our fingers for sun. That's hopefully what we're hoping. It's been crazy right now, so if y'all can be out there hoping for sun, that's going to be awesome. But
we'll be out there no matter what.
Absolutely, rain or shine.
We'll be out there no matter what. Let's see, where are we at? We have
about 8 minutes.
8 minutes. What do we want to talk about, people? Where do we want to go next?
Yeah.
What I thought was so, obviously your story is incredibly compelling and so beautifully told.
Thank you.
Just really, really beautifully told. One of the things that really, really struck me is when you talk about the power of Make-A-Wish and how it completely flipped the script.
Yeah.
I mean, you had physical things that your body needed to fight, but as you said, it kind of took you from focusing on that to focusing on the light.
Right.
Focusing on something really exciting coming into your life. And giving you a reason to fight harder.
Absolutely.
I think it's just so incredible.
Yeah, they're actually, I mean, you're around those kids, and we all say that same thing, that this wish changed the treatment. We'll have nurses and doctors who will say, from the child's dreaming of the wish to even when they go on it and coming back, their whole treatment changed. Currently, Make-A-Wish is, doing this huge study to back it up scientifically, to point to, that there is a significant change happening by these wish trips. One way they're doing it is just comparing costs before trip and after trip in hospital care. And so showing that there's actually data that these wishes are doing more than just, oh, that kid got a fun trip. No. This kid changed a family. It changed a kid who's going to go out and change the community and then change the world. And so that is all what it's about with the story, and getting a part of something that will alter someone's destiny and give them the hope in such a struggling time is, I don't think you can put a price on that.
That's amazing. And I think also, I just want to say we do have 7 minutes left here at Lifelines.
Yeah,
and
call in.
Yeah, if anyone would like to call in, any alum would like to call in that's listening. Doesn't matter if anyone would like to call in here at Z93 at 231-929-HITS, 231-929-4487. We have about 6 minutes left. And I even believe, with science, well, I believe it to be true, and with technology and how we can measure physiologically that not just in it carrying you through, like you say, change my life, change the world, all the way forward when you're in remission, but the healing part like the literally the healing part, all the medical procedures and the chemo and everything you're going through, whether it's producing more endorphins or more excitement or calmness, alleviating blood pressure. I mean, the correlation between emotion, and there's a lot on anxiety and depression and positive types of support, and where your focus went, I have to believe it also helped you through your recovery.
100%. You know, your days go from, okay, what are the doctors going to say in their rounds this morning? Where's the cancer at? What pokes? To you wake up and I can't wait to flip open my computer to search, wishes that just happened. So 100% with what you're changing your focus point. Because
Right.
where you look is where you're going to go.
Right.
I truly believe aiming yourself that way. So
Right.
it absolutely does that.
Yeah, there's a correlation between depression and disease and anxiety, and I mean the just the findings are we can measure these things now. So anything that is turning around your emotions while you are trying to heal from or survive something that is physical is huge. Is huge. I'm just studying it right now, a lot about neuroscience. You ever heard of neuroscience?
I've been around that. My sister's going to school for a little bit of that. So.
Is she?
Yeah.
What's she going into?
She is debating of being a neurosurgeon or cardiac. So she's in Budapest right now. She's been in an operating room looking at it. Yeah, freshman in college.
Wow.
Super proud of her.
Well,
Yes.
that is amazing. She probably, if you saw me stumbling over my words a little bit, some of the words and the measure or the measuring and the vocabulary in it, I don't have. Thank you. I don't have, but it's amazing how healing can happen with support and great outlooks and all that stuff.
So I have a quick question,
Yeah.
if I may. We talked about supporting people, and one of the things that I've seen happen, I've been at Disney when there have been Wish Kids and Wish families, and I've also seen some people that weren't necessarily so supportive of, of them being there and getting to get on the rides and those types of things. So I guess my question is, how can we support people when we're out and about and see these Wish families and just make them know how excited we are for them? And, cheer them on.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things is asking the child about their wish, whether they're 3 all the way up to, me who's an older teenager. When you see the Make-A-Wish shirt at the parks or in the airport, just being like, so what'd you wish for? And you gotta study if the family's approachable, but like that. But, even the stewardess or whatever who were on the airplane, they didn't have to treat us like first class. But, they served us earlier than everyone. They brought warm cookies from first class. So it's just these little things, even if it's holding a door for the Wish family or just saying, or just going, woohoo, so happy for your wish. Like, all of that goes so far for these kids. I mean, there's colleges down in Grand Rapids who they have actual groups who show up at the airport dressed for the kids' wishes and, like, send them through a tunnel before they get on the plane.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
love
so much fun.
And Andrea, when you were saying that you've experienced a little bit of the opposite,
A little bit of grumbling.
a little bit of grumbling,
Oh, they
but
need to go first.
yeah, and that we can't control that. We all
It's
know
saying
that.
more about them.
It
Right.
sure is.
Right.
And I was thinking
However-
that as I was observing it.
However, with that uncomfortability, when you see a kid that doesn't have any hair, when you see somebody with a physical disability, it can be uncomfortable, and it's that same thing we were talking about earlier. So I'm really glad that for you to speak on that, because even if it's uncomfortable, I mean, yes, you want to measure if a family's usually it's the time where the family is celebrating as best as,
when they're
depending
rocking
on,
that Make-A-Wish.
yeah, when they have that t-shirt on,
they just got
are
dropped off in a
approachable.
limo
Right.
and they're ready to go.
Right. And so on that note, for those, when you see out there, if you see, like you say, in the airport or any of Disney World or any of downtown Traverse City, somebody with a Make-A-Wish t-shirt and having that gift, to approach them and and support them, and how much you actually love it, as opposed to just having somebody kind of look and be uncomfortable. And it's a really good point.
Or just smile.
Yeah,
We could
you don't
smile
have
more
to
passing people.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. Yes, exactly. Just a smile, eye contact, a thumbs up,
Yeah.
something like that. That's great. And we are going to wrap it up tonight. So again, you can go to Annie Clark page, Z93, or you can simply Google Make-A-Wish Foundation, Northern Michigan, and you will.
It'll all show up.
It'll all show up. So thank you so much,
Yeah,
Clary.
thanks for having
being
me. This
here.
was awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks, Michelle Crum. And thank you, everyone, for listening tonight. I'm Annie Clark, and I'm here for you because it is about you and it's life, and we are all learning together.
Amen. Killed it. Z1.
That's right. This is my niece.
That's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Thank you, darling.